Those who bet on sports don't think like the rest of us. Sometimes they spot chances we would never even notice, and a lot of the time, their bets are downright weird, but somehow they still end up winning. Today, we are reliving those crazy moments. Here are 12 of the strangest bets ever placed in the history of sports. Number 12. Halfway goal bet. This strange bet was placed by Adrian Hayward, who is a devoted Liverpool fan. So in 2005, he wagered £200, which is around $270 at odds of 125 to 1, that Xabi Alonso, Liverpool's talented midfielder, would score a goal from his own half of the pitch. It was a strange and highly unlikely scenario. Who would even think to bet on something like that? But Hayward had a gut feeling and went for it. Then came January 2006. During the FA Cup match against Luton Town, Liverpool was leading. This is when Xabi Alonso saw an opportunity when the Luton goalkeeper was caught out of position. From well inside his own half, Alonso launched a stunning shot, and the ball sailed through the air before landing perfectly in the back of the net. The crowd went wild, and so did Hayward when he realized his crazy bet had paid off. The goal earned Adrian Hayward a payout of £25,000, which is around $34,000. This is how his seemingly impossible prediction turned into a massive win. Speaking of wild and unpredictable bets, let us tell you about one that was truly unusual, and it was a family affair. Number 11. Grandson for Wales. In 2000, Peter Edwards placed a £50 bet, which is about $68 that most people would find crazy. He wagered at 2,500 to 1 odds that his grandson Harry Wilson, who was just 18 months old at the time, would one day play for the Welsh national football team. Betting on a toddler's sports future is just about as unconventional as it gets, but Peter believed in Harry, even before the kid could kick a ball properly. Then came October of 2013. Harry Wilson was just 16 years old at that time. That was the year he made his debut for Wales in a World Cup qualifier against Belgium, and became the youngest player to ever represent the national team. Peter's wild bet paid off in the most incredible way and won him £125,000, which is around $170,000. The best part is that this big win allowed Peter to retire early, all thanks to a bet on his grandson's potential. And here's another story that proves betting on your kids can really pay off. Number 10. British Open win. Gerry McIlroy is the father of golf superstar Rory McIlroy. In 2004, he made a bold decision. What he did was place a £200 bet, which is around $270 at 500 to 1 odds that Rory, who was just 15 at the time, would win the British Open within the next 10 years. It seemed like a wild gamble, even for a promising young golfer, but Gerry had strong faith in his son's talent and future success. Then in 2014, Rory McIlroy did make his dad's dream come true by winning the British Open at Royal Liverpool. With the victory, Gerry's bet turned into a massive £100,000 payout, which was about $135,000 in US dollars. What started as a long shot wager on a teenage golfer ended with a huge win, proving that sometimes a father's belief can lead to an unforgettable payoff. Next, we have a story that turned one man's wild gamble into a life-changing fortune. Number 9. 7 races sweep. In 1996, Darren Yates placed a £62 or $85 accumulator bet on jockey Frankie Dettori to win all 7 races at Ascot. It was a super risky bet, as he had bet on just one jockey to win every single race. The odds were too slim, and most would have called it an impossible feat. But Yates took the chance and started hoping for a miracle. Incredibly, Dettori pulled off what is now known as the Magnificent Seven. He won every race that day and left the racing world stunned. As each race ended with Dettori's victory, the excitement grew, and by the end, Yates was in for the shock of a lifetime. His daring bet turned into a jaw-dropping £550,000, or about $750,000 US dollars payout. It was a once-in-a-lifetime moment, proving that sometimes betting on the impossible can lead to a massive, unforgettable reward. Speaking of betting on the impossible, let's talk about a horse owner who put everything on the line. Number 8. Own horse win. In 2003, Mike Futter made a risky decision by betting heavily on his own horse. He betted that his horse, Monty's Pass, would win the Grand National. The horse had a 16 to 1 chance of winning, but it was a bold and unusual gamble, especially given how unpredictable and competitive the race is. But Futter had complete faith in Monty's Pass and was not afraid to back his own horse with huge stakes. When race day arrived, Monty's Pass defied the odds and raced to an incredible victory. He secured one of the biggest upsets bets in Grand National history. Butter's belief in his horse paid off in a huge way, resulting in a payout of over £800,000 or around $1 million. He definitely took a risk here, but this time it turned into a spectacular win. And if you think betting on a single match is nerve-wracking, wait until you hear about this. Number 7. 19-leg accumulator. In 2011, an anonymous punter from Malta made one of the riskiest football bets imaginable. He placed an 80-pence wager on a 19-leg accumulator. The odds here were 683,738 to 1. Accumulator bets are common, but stacking 19 different match outcomes is absurdly risky. The tiniest upset or unexpected result could ruin the entire bet, but somehow, against all odds, every single one of the 19 predictions came true. As each match happened and the outcomes aligned perfectly, the tension must have been unbearable. In the end, the bet paid out an incredible £585,000 or around $800,000. This is how that bettor turned less than a pound into a huge sum of money. And now we have a story of turning almost nothing into a fortune. Number 6. 15-leg jackpot. This is the story of Mick Gibbs, who is a humble roofer from the UK. So in 2001, Gibbs placed a mere 30-pence bet on a 15-leg football accumulator. The odds here were 1.67 million to 1. Predicting even a few match outcomes is hard enough, but Mick bet on 15 different games. This made his wager one of the most unlikely in sports betting history. As the results started rolling in, each of his predictions was spot on, leading to an incredibly tense finish with the Champions League final. The final match was between Bayern Munich and Valencia, and it came down to a dramatic penalty shootout. When Bayern Munich finally claimed victory, Mick's seemingly insignificant 30-pence bet turned into £500,000 or $680,000. It's hard to believe that such a tiny stake could result in such a massive win, but believe it or not, this actually happened. Now, if you thought betting on a long shot was crazy, we have another person who bet on the most unlikely thing ever. Number 5. Rousey upset. In 2015, Ronda Rousey was the undefeated queen of mixed martial arts, having destroyed her competition with ease. Betting against her seemed downright insane, but Vegas Dave saw something others didn't and placed a $20,000 US bet on underdog Holly Holm to pull off the upset. He places a bet with 1 in 11 odds. Most people thought he had lost his mind. Holm was a former boxing champion but relatively new to the MMA world. She was seen as having little chance. Yet in one of the most shocking upsets in UFC history, Holly Holm delivered a devastating head kick knockout that left Rousey defeated and the world in complete shock. In the end, Vegas Dave walked away with $240,000 US. Betting against a dominant champion like Rousey seemed like a wild and foolish gamble, but it turned into one of the most legendary wins in sports betting history. Now, we agree that upsets in sports can be thrilling, but there are only a few that compare to the sheer improbability of this next story. Number 4. Leicester Miracle. In 2015, some punters placed bets on Leicester City to win the Premier League with odds of 5,000 to 1. At the time, the idea seemed laughable. Leicester had barely avoided relegation the previous season, and no one expected them to be serious title contenders. But these hopeful bettors had faith in the underdog, even if it seemed like a wild and impossible gamble. Then came the 2015-2016 season, and Leicester City shocked the world. With players like Jamie Vardy and Riyad Mahrez leading the charge, and manager Claudio Ranieri at the helm, they pulled off one of the greatest sports miracles ever. When they secured the Premier League title, those few lucky punters who had taken a chance on Leicester's victory were rewarded handsomely. They became millionaires just like that. Betting on a football club is fun and thrilling, but it doesn't get much crazier than this horse racing story from Saratoga Springs, USA. Number 3. Horse racing long shot. So what happened was that 2 anonymous bettors placed a tiny 10-cent bet on a superfecta, which means they had to guess the exact order of the first 4 horses in a race. It is one of the hardest bets to win, with so many things that can go wrong. But amazingly, they got everything right. Their small 10-cent bet turned into a huge $76,000 win. That's right, $76,000 US straight from 10 cents. There is no risk to reward story quite as clever as that. Number 2. Cardinals title. The next crazy and weird story on our list is from 2011. At the beginning of the baseball season, an anonymous bettor placed 2 $250 US wagers on the St. Louis Cardinals, one for them to win the National League pennant and the other for them to win the World Series. At the time, the odds were long, and the Cardinals were far from favorites. In fact, they barely made it into the playoffs after a season full of ups and downs. But the team pulled off a miracle run. They won the National League and then went on to claim the World Series in an unforgettable comeback. Those risky bets turned into a massive $375,000 payout for the anonymous bettor. We don't know who this lucky bettor was, but it was a legendary gamble that paid off in a big way. And now, top of our list is one of the most surprising comeback bets ever. Number 1. Tiger Masters comeback. In 2019, James Adducci placed an $85,000 wager on Tiger Woods to win the 2019 Masters at 14-to-1 odds. It was not just a big bet, it was a downright strange one. Why? Because Woods had not won a major championship in 11 years and had battled injuries and personal setbacks that made many believe his best days were behind him. Most people thought betting on Tiger was a lost cause, but Adducci saw something others didn't and trusted in the golfing legend. And then, lucky for her, Woods really pulled off one of the greatest comebacks in sports history. So yeah, Adducci's risky bet paid off with a huge $1.2 million win. It was a bold and gutsy gamble that shocked everyone and went down in betting history. Have you heard of any other weird sports bets? If so, share with us in the comments below. If you enjoyed these incredible betting stories, make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more amazing content. Don't miss out, there is plenty more coming your way.